Hey everybody, this is Dale from Team Gamecom. Just a couple of things I'm going to talk about in this short little vlog. Just things to do with the next patch. A couple of things I've been noticing about top lane and bruises, and a little discussion about the brand new map, Proving Grounds. Unfortunately, I didn't have a webcam, and I'm a little bit camera shy, so I didn't care to go looking for one. So what I've done is I've put a clip of me basically bashing on everybody's favorite champion. Very frustrating game to play. I don't know if you guys would care too much about the gameplay. Maybe you'll learn a bit, but I'll put it there just for the sake of putting it there right now. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to talk about is easiest one, Proving Grounds. Brand new map. Basically the fusion between Dominion and the middle lane of Summoner's Rift. Kind of what the community was asking for a long time. It was pretty simple. They'd already basically laid out the map. They had the tools to make it nice and quick, and they've just shoved it in there. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already played it. It's a lot of fun, but there's a couple of things that I've noticed that kind of it disappoints a little bit compared to just playing the bottom of Dominion. The first thing I noticed is that it's got turrets. It's got a lot of them, and they're really close together. I personally think that's boring to play against, because if you don't get like a poke team, you don't random like a big poke team or anything like that. The retreating space is way too short. So if someone's poking you at your turret, if you try and chase them down, they're like instantly back at their turret, and like you've lost. Like you're not going to get into them without taking a ridiculous amount of damage. Like you're going to have to dive them. That's pretty freaking boring to play against. Like it's pretty stupid. They really do either need to get rid of some of the turrets, or they need to lengthen the distance between the turrets, because I'm sure everybody's been in that position where you're kind of stuck at the turret and there's nothing you can do about it. It's so silly. It takes away from the whole like the 5v5 constant skirmish type deal. Like that really doesn't, that type of game mode really doesn't need turrets. And the second thing I've noticed is their health relics. They're in like blatantly horrible positions. Like they're kind of put at the front of every turret and to the one side. So basically what it's done is it's given every team 2 health relics. You can't just access them. If you're the enemy team, you can't just steal them from them, because you basically have to dive the enemy team to get it. So basically what they've done is they've essentially given both teams 2 health relics to prolong the game. And again, that kind of seems like a bit counterintuitive. Like there's no point in just giving two bits of health to every team, because you're not going to be, unless you take the enemy turret and you've already got an advantage, you're not going to take the health relic off the enemy team like at all. It's way too close to their turret. So what they need to do is they need to like position them in the center or something like that, make the teams fight over it, because otherwise you're giving both teams equal amount of resources, and like that's pointless. It really feels like it's pointless. Say you give one a health potion to both teams, like both teams still on the same amount of money, they still both got a health potion. It's just there's no counterplay to it. There's no point in having it at all, really. They're the two kind of problems I've seen with the new map. I think if they change that up a bit, I think people will start to play it more, rather than just keep because people are still just making the bottom of the Dominion. I think that's their main reasons why that map's kind of falling apart a little bit. It's still great, it's still accessible, and it still solves a couple of the problems with people just straight up cheating, or it makes rules and stuff way more obvious to people who don't normally play it. And it's just really accessible. But I think those are the 2 main things that people really need to change, or really need to fix up before it'll just take over everything else. But it's definitely in the right direction. Second thing is to do with top lane. Not much has changed. The strong champions are still strong. They're kind of the ones that are sticking out right now. It's Riven, Vladimir, Kennen, Jax, and Malphite. Like they're the kind of ones that are sticking out like a sore thumb right now. That's mainly because they can all escape ganks really well. They're insanely safe while being insanely aggressive. They've got the option to do either. Since junglers are kind of making a transition into like all gank all day rather than all farm or all invade type deal, having escapes and diffusing ganks is like incredible top lane right now. Because if you've ever played top lane, you know that one gank will ruin your lane for the entire game, and that's no fun to deal with. So people are grabbing a hold of characters that have got high mobility or have access to like safe farm basically. They can sit back and not have to worry too much about being aggressive. So someone like Aurelia, who can basically just farm and have like anybody who tries to harass Aurelia, you know, she's just going to heal her back shortly, so she doesn't have to be aggressive. She doesn't have to leap too far forward or sacrifice any HP or anything like that, because it's just too scary with like someone having like a Nautilus or an Alice the jungle on the enemy team. It's just too scary to do anything aggressive at all right now. So yeah, it's kind of like ranged Terras, which is safe, or high mobility or go home in top lane right now, because you're probably going to get your like destroyed by some jungler creeping in. Now with the next patch, the patch coming out, the Jace patch, that patch is going to be, it's going to be pretty boring from what I can tell. There's only a couple of noticeable changes, and so it's Quicksilver Sash, Orianna, and Nunu. The Nunu change is it's interesting to say the least. I don't know, I think he's still going to be a very, very incredibly niche jungler. It might work in the current jungle meta now that everybody's playing like slower junglers but are really all about their grab 2 buffs and gank as much as humanly possible. If you grab Nunu on your team and you just straight out steal one of those buffs, like that'll be absolutely huge. That'll either force the jungler to gank as much as humanly possible while behind, or try and invade, as a jungler doesn't excel in invading. And I don't know if that's alone going to change the meta, but like that option itself sounds really, really, really cool. To any of the old school junglers who used to play Nunu, like you guys will remember just how fun that guy was to muck around with. Like that poor little Amumu like crying all over his buff, and you just run out and you eat smite it. Like that was like the best feeling in the world as a jungler. It was so incredibly fun to do, and hopefully people will start doing it again. The other thing I'm worried about though is they're increasing the true damage at early levels on his consume, and like if any of you guys have ran or played against Nunu in like a lane and he rushes spell vamp, like that's incredibly annoying, like so incredibly annoying. Like true damage with spell vamp, like high amounts of true damage with spell vamp on a lower cooldown with higher amounts of true damage now is, it's gonna be so stupid to play against. And like if you're a melee especially, you can't harass him because he's got probably the world's stupidest slow ever. It's like I can only imagine that if people are going to start running him in solo lanes eventually, and with this buff it's going to be so incredibly annoying to play against. It's not great, but it's going to be annoying as hell to play against. The other option, Orianna, I don't think her power level will increase too much. I think it's just an accessibility and ease, like an ease of play type deal. So she's more reliable. People argue it's a buff. It kind of is, but it's like a very, very, very minimal one. It's just so she's more consistent. I don't know if we'll see more of her. We might just see more of her originally just because, you know, people see a buff in the patch notes and like, woohoo, let's play her more. But I don't think people will kind of pick her up just because of this buff at the moment. I don't think she's going to be played that much more. When it comes to Quicksilver Sash though, pretty big. I don't think AD carries are going to blindly pick it up over and over and over again. I only think they're going to pick it up if they're against like aggressive supports who are jumping forward to put an exhaust on them. Otherwise, I don't think there's too much point in grabbing it. People are just going to get Guardian Angel instead. Far more reliable. It'll give you magic resistance, and you won't spend like so much more money on the cleanse. People are just going to, if they have to, people are just going to run cleanse instead to get rid of that CC or that exhaust, rather than spend all that money on Quicksilver Sash. Because it's getting, like, that nerf is pretty big. It's something that AD carries are going to notice the most. I don't think any other role is really going to notice it that much. So yeah, not too much else to say about the game at the moment. There hasn't been too many changes recently. A lot of the latest patches have kind of been pretty boring, and there's no new champion just yet. So yeah, not too much else to say at the moment. Before I do leave though, comments, criticism, any of that kind of stuff with the new content that we're kind of releasing out. Hopefully we can get 2 videos or 2 blogs or anything like that out per week, just to kind of fuel you guys a little bit. Hopefully we do get better. Any criticism or any stuff like that, give it a whirl, post it out, and hopefully we can enjoy this a lot more. So thanks for watching, guys.